And now for our feature presentation.
He'll be fine on the mountain.
JB and Darren on the JB and Goldwater Show.
Line drive right field, base hit. South Carolina wins the College World Series. Watson, touchdown. Hunter Renfrow. He got him, and it's all over. Coastal Carolina rules the roost. They win the championship. And South Carolina has won the national championship.
Citadel baseball team has done it again, but this time the Bulldogs beat one of the top teams in the country. They are giant killers. Get the ball to Bennett. He does.
Gamecocks are in the Final Four.
All right, greetings and a good Thursday afternoon, and welcome aboard the JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online, and driven by our friends and yours at Stokes Volkswagen. Find them at stokesvw.com. Find us on the JB and Goldwater app. You can download that into your phone. It's free, and you can watch and listen to our program daily in its entirety and be a part of all the fun between 12 and 2 p.m. Darren Goldwater is to the left of the screen. I'm JB, and as I mentioned, we're here until 2 p.m., and we are back to back. Four guests today to get us through a Thursday afternoon. A lot of baseball, a lot of golf. We do, though, have a very interesting football conversation we're going to squeeze in a little while because Jimbo Fisher says, hey, man, we can be Alabama and pretty much more than that if we'd like to here at Texas A&M. Can they? We'll talk about that here in just a little while. I mentioned those four guests, though. We do have Skylar Meade leading us off in about 8 minutes. South Carolina wins yesterday against North Florida, and they've got Mississippi State starting tomorrow at Founders Park. The Bulldogs were in town last night to take on the Bulldogs of the Citadel, and they won the game. Tony Skoll did not coach in that ball game. More on that in a minute. Cory McCartney up at 12:30 today. A no-no in the big leagues yesterday, Darren. It was something to see. We're going to get into that. We've got PGA Championship Director Ryan Ogle joining us at 1:05 this afternoon. Scott Glaze as well at 1:35. So it is a full boat of information across all social media platforms at JB and Goldwater, individually at Sports Media JB and at Darren Goldwater. And, of course, you can get a hold of us through all those chat rooms and by texting 843-321-8893. Hey, Darren.
So yesterday I was sitting at Dog and Duck. I was eating my wings, even though it was game day burger day, but I chose wings. And that's when I was watching John Means start to go to work. And at about the sixth inning, I realized he was perfect. And then I realized for some reason it wasn't perfect. And then I had to go back and try and figure out exactly why it wasn't perfect. And it's believed to be, I don't think anyone's gotten a concrete answer, but ESPN has, believed to be the only no-hitter ever broken up by one single strike three wild pitch. He was later erased on the base paths, faced the minimum, but it's a no-hitter for a guy who had 0 college offers coming out of high school. He's a heck of a story, John Means.
You know, it's interesting because someone might say when they see that, I've never seen that before. But if you really think about it, you probably have, just at a lower level. I mean, we see this a lot, actually, Darren. In play like high school, not as much, but it has happened in college baseball. I don't know about minor league baseball. I'm sure it has, but like you'll a no-hitter is a no-hitter. I get it. It's nothing like throwing a no-no in the big leagues, but I've seen that before at the high school level where somebody threw a no-hitter, but it wasn't a perfect game because of a wild pitch or two even sometimes where guys get on base. But I have never seen, I mean, when I saw that, I was kind of trying to follow it along last night, and I was like, I don't think I've ever seen this at the big league level. And I guess we haven't because, according to ESPN, it's never happened.
And he threw, by the way, courtesy Joe Wright here, who's a local guy, tweets a lot about media type stuff and sports.
Yep.
He found that going back in the archives, 5.5 years, Means threw a no-hitter for the Delmarva Shorebirds against the River Dogs in 2015. So 5.5, 6 years. It was a 7-inning no-hitter, his first game of a doubleheader. But he threw a no-hitter against the River Dogs as well.
Wow. What a crazy. That's not the only state tie, by the way.
Nope.
Means' brother plays for the Columbia Fireflies. And there's videos circulating on the internet. I saw it from Mike Gillespie with ABC in Columbia of the locker room celebrating, the Fireflies locker room going nuts after the no-hitter was completed yesterday. His brother is a member of that organization, as I mentioned. So that was pretty neat too. Yeah, what a wild chain of events. And this is the first no-hitter in Baltimore, Darren, in over 30 years, right?
1969 was the last no-hitter by a single guy for the Orioles, and that guy was Jim Palmer. So right. John Means, Jim Palmer, same sentence, pretty good company.
Yeah, there's no question about that. So we're going to talk to Cory more about it coming up at about 12:30 this afternoon. In state baseball, the Gamecocks survived the Ospreys of North Florida last night, 7-6. 1-run lead in the 9th inning, Darren. And Brett Carey didn't close. I wonder why that is. We'll ask Skylar Meade here in just a little bit. He's going to join us, and in South Carolina, of course, is scheduled to host Mississippi State starting tomorrow in a 3-game series. The Dogs were in town last night to take on the Dogs, and they won 10-2 down at the Joe. That's no shocker, but what was surprising was the news we got right before they threw the first pitch, basically a couple hours before, that Tony Skoll was not going to be coaching because he tested positive for the coronavirus. I did talk to Tony yesterday. They're hopeful it is a false positive. He has had 0 symptoms. He's been vaccinated for 6 weeks. The only reason they even discovered this is because you go through the weekly testing, and it came up positive, and he was as shocked as anybody. He has literally had not even a sniffle. Like, he's like, dude, I'm fine. I'm as healthy as I've ever been. So they'll retest. I will pass this along, and this sucks. As bad as that was, everybody has kind of looked at this story and said, oh, man, he didn't get to see his best buddy, Chris Lemonis, last night. Yeah, well, because of the positive test and because of the protocols that come with it, even if it is a false positive right now, he's going to have to miss his son Tilo's graduation from the Citadel on Saturday.
Yeah.
And that is hurting bad for the Skoll family. Of course, he coaches him, and Tilo plays for Tony, and according to these protocols, he will not be able to watch him walk across the stage, and that's tough.
That stinks. And I don't know exactly what the protocols are in terms of figuring out if it's a false positive. Is there a way that this testing can be done, say, today, tomorrow, Saturday morning, to conclude it's a false positive and he can be there? Is that even possible?
Well, from what I understand, they will retest. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know, Darren. That was when we were texting back and forth. That was what kind of hurt me the most. I couldn't imagine not watching one of my kids walk, especially at a place like the Citadel, following in his dad's footsteps, So that's tough on the Skoll family, but we'll see if that can change. I don't know.
Yeah.
What won't change is the result of last night. They lose. Clemson, big win, by the way, last night over USC Upstate. Believe it or not, that is a really good win for the Tigers. They're playing really good baseball, guys. Carolina gets them here in about a week. So watch out for Clemson baseball. They're maybe starting to get going at the right time. All right, we do have Skylar Meade set to join us here in right now. As a matter of fact, the pitching coach of the Gamecocks is going to hop on board. And Skylar, your head coach, has broken the news that the rotation is going to be shuffled this weekend. You're going to throw Brandon Jordan on Friday, Will Sanders Saturday, and Thomas Farr has been backed up to Sunday. So there's some breaking news. Welcome aboard, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing great. You guys doing all right?
Man, we if we were doing any better, we would I don't know, be millionaires and not doing this show. So yeah, we're doing okay. Yeah, we're hanging in there. Let me ask you about that. Mark has said that you're going to shuffle the rotation around a little bit. What led you to that decision?
Well, part of it was just obviously we have had some struggles on Friday, and obviously it's very much a team thing. We we've had some struggles offensively. There's times where Farr's been really good. There's times where he could be a little bit better. And he would admit that to a man. And, we haven't played clean defense at times. And so I think a large part of it is just mixing up the mojo a little bit, giving us just a little, flip. And to me, I think it's going to set Thomas to have a Cody Morris finish, as the Sunday guy, just like Cody did in 2018 and was tremendous as the year went on at the back end of the rotation. And so I think it's going to be a win-win for all. And I know we're excited to see it play out over the course of this weekend.
Yeah, well, what are those conversations like, Skylar? You've been if you're a Friday night guy all year, and then you got to have a chat with your staff, and they say, hey, look, we're not pulling you out of the rotation, but we're bumping you to Sunday. What's that conversation like, and how did Thomas handle that?
Well, Thomas is a pro, and Thomas understands all layers, all aspects of it. And it was a very simple conversation that myself and King obviously are the main two that have it, with him, and just say, hey, look, here's the deal. We're going to mix things up. This is going to be good for you, good for the squad, and you're going to go out there and you're going to perform well, and you're going to win a baseball game on Sunday. And like I said, I can't give a guy like Thomas more credit for how he handles everything, whether it's good, bad, and different. He's just very much a pro, and he gets it. And all he wants to do is have Gamecock baseball win, and he wants to be a part of that. And if that means a part of it is not throwing Friday and he throws Sunday, he's all on board.
I think it's important to point out as well, Skylar, that your struggles on Friday do not solely rest on his shoulders. He hadn't been perfect, and we all know that. We see it. You can't have a bunch of bases on balls, and you want to try to move a little bit brisker at a little bit of a brisker pace. 100 pitches in 5 innings is tough because he's seeing the other guys ace on Friday. So you got to find a way to match that as close as you can, if not be better than that guy. But nobody's been more frustrated than him. And, I know that fans continue to watch this and they can't figure out, why can't we win on Friday night? This, that, and the other. Well, nobody's more frustrated than Thomas Farr. And I would probably I'd probably guess for a couple of reasons. One, in himself at times, and two, even though he probably never say it publicly, in his offense. So you shuffled the offensive lineup last night a little bit. Do you anticipate, I know you're the pitching coach, you're not writing the lineup, but do you anticipate that change and this change today with the staff kind of meshing together this weekend in some way, shape, or form?
Yeah, I hope so. And I don't know if, things will be like exactly the scale as they were yesterday, but I would say that obviously a slight mix-up, I think, is probably good on all levels. And, I think we've tried to stay pretty consistent with our lineup for the most part. I understand there's going to be a moving part or two like any ball club. But, I think the nice little change of pace, and hopefully Braylon can be really good at the very top. Collins been our most consistent bat-the-ball guy. And I know he hit some balls hard yesterday. Didn't get a lot to show for it other than the 2-run single. But, Brady and Wes, look, I think the thing that could be said is we just need Brady, Wes, and Andrew to be really good the rest of the way. If they can be our bell cows and these other guys can do their jobs, I think we'll do what we need to do. And I don't say that to put any sort of pressure on them. I just think they're tremendous hitters, and they've been good players in the SEC before, and that's what they need to do the rest of the way to allow us to win as many games as possible.
Skylar Meade, pitching coach of the Gamecocks. So, I'm not Skylar. I'm not going to pat myself on the back or anything here. I know a little bit about this sport, not a ton, but enough to be dangerous. You know what I'm saying? I kind of was discussing with Darren throughout the week. I'm not going to say I don't want this to be about me. Excuse me. Darren and I had conversations throughout the week, with some of our guests as well, talking through this program like you would, or as much as I could, or we could, to closely resemble what those conversations might be going on back in the locker room. And one of the things that we kind of discussed this week was Wimmer in that leadoff spot. And so this is just my theory, but this is where I want you to tell me how wrong I am so I can shut up and go away. It feels at times like this offense, you're right. There is talent there, but they just don't put enough pressure on opposing defenses. A lot of lazy fly balls and pop-ups and and easy strikeouts and things like that. But Wimmer, if he can get hot at the top of the lineup, he's got speed. He's dangerous out there. And then you got a couple guys behind him who are swinging it pretty well, and Burgess and Allen. Is that the reason for that change? Maybe to try to put a little bit more pressure on opposing defenses?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're not blessed with a ton of guys that are, of high athleticism, as a whole, but Braylon is certainly one of those unique talents that we have in terms of what he can do. And so, yeah, I think when you get that good, Braylon Wimmer, I made a comment, the other day in one of the meetings I was watching against Florida when he, hit a ball in left center and should have been a single, but he stretched out to a double, or, some of the things he's done on the bases, scoring from second, maybe when others wouldn't, or scoring from first on a ball in the gap. We don't have a ton of that, and it is what it is, but we need a guy like him to be as dynamic as possible, because it is a weapon in your tool chest.
All right, now let me tell you where I was wrong, Skylar. Hey, look, you can sit here and I can sit here and act like a hero all I want to, but you got to admit when you make a mistake. I actually genuinely thought, especially yesterday when y'all had a 1-run lead in the ninth and Bosnick came trotting out to close the game, I thought, oh, wow, 1-run lead in the ninth inning and Brett Carey's not trotting out there. Maybe they're going to save him and start him this weekend. But the rotation's been announced and he's not starting this weekend. So what is Brett Carey's role?
Oh, the reason Brett Carey didn't throw yesterday in that ninth inning was when he got extended on Saturday, we weren't going to rush him back. And he's fine. I mean, he's feeling great. His role will be, what his role's been, which is being a guy that at winning time gets it done. But that was the only reason he didn't throw Wednesday. He probably could have if it was dire straits, but we didn't want to. We just don't overextend our guys. We try to be as smart as possible throughout it. And I know some teams run their dudes out there. I mean, I think you and I may have joked about how Ole Miss uses that Broadway kid and ended up throwing in 3 games. I mean, we just don't do that with our guys. I mean, I think that's part of hopefully our lure for pitchers is they're going to be used properly here, and we're not going to, run them ragged. And that's why we don't have any. I mean, most teams have guys that are in the 21, 22 appearance range. We don't have that. We have a lot of guys that are in that 13 to 15 range. And so, but that's why Brett didn't pitch that ninth inning yesterday. That was no reflection on Brett. I was really excited though, actually, to see, Julian get to be out there in a pure save situation. And, I know Andrew made a really nice play on that ball that kind of, juiced to right, but he came out there and did his job and helped us secure that win.
He sure did make a nice play. He's made that right. I know that Michael Roth's name is on the bullpen out there, but he might have a co-sponsor of that deal before long, because Eister hits a lot of balls into it, and then he also makes a lot of catches up against the wall out there. So at some point in time, it might be slide over Michael Roth. There needs to be more room in this bullpen for the actual, right fielder who guards it every day, and Andrew Eister. How's Colin doing? I know that you didn't plug him in there game 1 last week because, he's been kind of trying to get back fully healthy, but he did pop in there in the next couple. I think he hit a home run last weekend as well. How's he feeling? He's doing really well. Yeah, he just, that got that little dinged up with the Arkansas game in that ninth inning, and so we had to kind of follow some protocols. But I was really pleased with how Colin obviously played on the weekend, and I thought he did a really good job yesterday. And it was a weird day yesterday. You had Mahoney with a little bit of tightness, and so you have to be careful there. And whenever your starter comes out in the first, it can make for a really unique game, especially in a midweek game where you don't have necessarily everyone available. But I thought he helped handle a lot of those pitchers really well, especially as the course of the game went on. So yeah, Colin's doing great. Kind of had his first bad throw in a long time yesterday when that ball slipped out of his hand. But no, he's been doing his thing and swinging the bat really well, and hopefully he can have a big weekend here. Yeah, we've all been there. That's okay. It sucks when it happens. You hope that you do that in a midweek game when there's not a lot of people watching that, because it's that's the old look at the hand and go, oh well, shoot, I don't know how that happened, and then squat back down and hope nobody's looking at you. All right, let's talk about this series. So their staff well. Scott Foxhall will be your counterpart this weekend. I've known Scott Foxhall. If you talk to him, you please tell him that I said hello. I've known him since I was 9 years old. And he is a wonderful man with an amazing family, and he has done a brilliant job assisting Coach Lemonis over there at Mississippi State. Obviously, you've known Limo a long time, and he's the head man. I know Limo and Tony Skoll and Coach McDonald, who, by the way, good for him the other day, standing up for Louisville publicly. Imagine what – look at that, 50% capacity overnight. Way to go, Mac. Those guys and King all went out there on Team USA and spent a bunch of time together. So this is another neat weekend for relationships amongst the coaching staff. Give us some of those details, some of the relationship that you carry with Fox and Coach Kingston.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I've known Fox for a while, just kind of being around the trail. I mean, I remember, a couple different times, especially when I was a young coach, being at a JUCO game and Fox being there to see a guy. And then I was disappointed because, he was either at Auburn or NC State. And I'm going, well, shoot, if this kid's any good, we're probably not going to get him. So that was always disappointing. But he's such a great guy and obviously a great pitching coach. And Lemonis was a coach of mine my last year as a player. And, it's funny, you look back as a player and I probably told Limo this before, but, Limo was busy trying to, get the next batch of good players in there. And to be honest, and he would say this too, when they came into Louisville, him and Mac and stuff like that, there was no expectations for that first year. It was kind of ragtag group, guys like myself coming off injury. Nobody knew if we were going to be any good. Heck, we ended up, going to Omaha and winning games out there. And obviously we won a game against Mississippi State, actually. And so impressing him was something that I always wanted to do as a player. And I was always happy when I would get a positive report from him. And obviously the same thing led over to being a coach. And then, the other one is Kyle Cheeseborough, his third base coach. He came on a visit he played at Louisville, but he'd come on a visit when I was a senior in college. And I have to deal with that knucklehead all the time. We probably talk once every week or two. And he wears me out on small things all the time. And he and I have been really good friends for, a lot of years now. And he does a tremendous job with them. And so he's got a great staff. And Jake Gotro, his other assistant's a really good dude, was a very good player, at Tulane back in the day. And so it's a great group of guys. Obviously you want to beat them like anyone else, but one that you have tremendous respect for when they come in and play you over the course of a weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And they got a great team. I know Tanner Allen is kind of the headline name there, but Skylar, when you look at them offensively and then you look at your staff, they've got a challenge this weekend. What's most important for your guys when they toe the rubber this weekend? What's most important for them to try to tame this Bulldogs offense?
Well, I think getting yourself into leverage counts is going to be, hugely important. We've done a pretty good job of that all year. They don't strike out that much. That's one thing they do. They're very relentless and grind and bats out. Mississippi State does. And so you're going to have the top two, and this is a fact. I mean, the top two strikeout stats in the entire country.
Yep.
They're striking out over 12 and a half a game. We strike out over 12 a game. So it's big boy baseball on the mound in terms of arms and stuff like that. But I think they're going to have a lot of left-handed hitters. We're going to have to execute a lot of pitches. And, to me, I think one of the biggest things that we will have to do is we're going to have to finish, innings with runners on base, 2 outs, 2 strikes. I think if there's anything negative we've had over the last couple games is just need to be a little bit better, maybe finishing some innings off. Look, we've done a great job probably the first 35 games. You always run into these little lulls where you always feel like you give up a 2-out hit. But I think we can be a little bit better about that. And if we are, it's going to put us in a great spot to win games. If you don't, that's kind of the name of the game. 2 outs, 2 strikes. You got to finish guys off, and hitters are trying to find a way to spoil what you think could be the last out or last pitch of an inning.
Skylar Meade, 12-24 pitching coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks. It's the Dogs in Carolina at Founders Park. 3-game series begins tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. By the way, that game 3 will be televised on the SEC network. Mike Morgan's got it, so a familiar voice will be there. I don't, Skylar, I doubt that this conversation has been had much in the locker room amongst the players, but your staff, how many conversations are you guys having about the regional implications of this weekend, because this is different, than years past where you play the season and figure it out. But obviously this weekend or next week after this weekend, they're going to announce 20 potential host sites. So what type of conversations, or have you had any of those conversations, you and Coach King and Coach Lake and all y'all guys?
I mean, I think we certainly understand the ramifications of, when you're kind of like we are. We're a high RPI team. We have a great resume. You're right there on the cusp, obviously. What I think is incredible and people may not realize is, we're 25-5 on teams outside the top 10 in RPI. We have played what will end up being the best schedule in the country. I think it's like 4th or 5th right now. But, you will have ended up playing 6 of the top 10 teams. And obviously we're a very good ball club. And so, yeah, you understand if you go in and you play great baseball and win games this weekend, you may be one of those. If not, you're not. I think in the end, you just got to play well enough, get to the dance, and anything can happen. But, yeah, of course, we understand that you can put yourself in a great spot, or maybe you put yourself right outside that bubble. I think we're fully aware of that, but it's not going to change, how we prepare, for this weekend.
I think the best thing to say is just sweep them. Good God, man. Come on, make this thing in. Just sweep them and get the damn thing over with. You don't have to worry about it from there.
Hey, I would sign up for that. Let me tell you.
Yeah, we all would. You know what? You might, because you've got a resilient group of guys, and I know last weekend was tough on them, Skylar, but the entire season's been tough, and we're going to see how well they grind it out this weekend. This is going to be a lot of fun to watch this series. Two very respected clubs, two very respected coaching staffs, and can't wait to start checking it out tomorrow night. So go get them, brother. Thank you so much for your time. And we look forward to catching up with you next week after you've got 3 more wins under your belt.
That sounds like a great plan to me, guys. Y'all enjoy the weekend.
Yes, sir. There you go. Pitcher coach Skylar Meade of the Gamecocks. And, Darren, I think some of us expected to see a change in the rotation. I actually did think that they might consider plugging Brett Carey in there just for that spark. But you know what? They might get it tomorrow night from Brandon Jordan. So we'll have to see. Here's some quick news from Kendall Rogers. The 20 NCAA regional host options will be unveiled next week on either Thursday or Friday. It was going to be early in the week, but the choices must be approved by the championship oversight panel as well. So it'll be next Thursday or Friday before we'll know who those 20 are. So I guess my question with that is, will games this weekend be the last games that they see, and then they'll start to make those decisions, or will those be midweek decisions because they play Clemson on Tuesday?
Well, if the logic is it was going to be sooner, but then it needs to go to an oversight committee, the decision-making process will likely be Monday, Tuesday, and then the oversight committee will then look at it and in enough time, however long it'll take them to release it. So I don't know how much the midweek game will matter for the top 20, but it'll be taken into account for whittling down the 20 to the 16. There's no doubt about that. So, I mean, you're splitting hairs, I think, at that point about that one midweek game. Are you going to be in the top 20? Or are you not going to be in the top 20? It's about this weekend. It's not about the midweek next week.
Yeah, I'm with you. See, we say it all the time. Baseball is series. You're judged by series as long as you don't, get your brains beat in during the midweeks, which Carolina has not done this year. They've only, I think, dropped 1 or 2 of those, North Carolina and Davidson, right? Yeah, they won all the rest of them. So, go win the series this weekend, and I think that they're going to be in pretty good shape. That would put them at 29-16 with 8 games left in the season, Darren, and of course 2 of those Kentucky and Tennessee in SEC series. So we'll see how it all unfolds, but obviously they're aware of the situation up there, as Skylar just mentioned. They've got a pitching rotation change this weekend, and they got a damn good baseball team coming to Founders Park. So this is what you play it for, man. This is what the SEC is all about, getting into May and trying to find a way to host a meaningful postseason matchup.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see how it all goes. All right, we do have PGA Championship Director Ryan Ogle ahead at 1:05 this afternoon. Stono Ferry's Scott Glaze as well. We're going to get into some football. If you missed the comments from Jimbo Fisher. They're neat. I like them. I love them. I think they're great. But up next, Cory McCartney is going to pop in. There was a no-no yesterday. Hey, did the Braves win last night or Nationals?
Is that a question or a statement?
I
or an antagonizing thing?
No, I just didn't get a chance to check the scoreboard.
By winning twice, you have now climbed even with Washington in the standings. How about that? You had to win twice just to get even.
Well, I just didn't know what the score.
Well, congratulations. You haven't seen Soto. You haven't seen an arm that was expected to be in the rotation yet. It's a good job.
Oh, well, interesting. Did Max Fried hit a home run last night?
Honestly, I'm not even sure. I don't know.
No, but it was Ozuna. So they've hit another grand slam.
That's true. That I know is true.
Oh, gosh. We'll get Cory in here in a minute. I'll let him pick on Darren. I don't need to say anything else. 12:31 on a Thursday afternoon. Buy one, get one, half off foot-long cheesesteaks at DB's Cheesesteaks. Make sure you get them today, Thursdays, at DB's in West Ashley and Avondale. Cory McCartney is up next.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road with exciting news. It's springtime and we're playing ball. Most dealerships don't have any inventory, but at Stokes Volkswagen we do. So we're playing ball on every new Volkswagen in stock. Every new Volkswagen available with zero down. Qualified buyers can sign and drive with interest-free financing for 60 months. Remember, Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road is the fastest, easiest way to sell your car and get the most money for your trade. Plus, we'll take any trade in any condition, paid off or not. Is your credit in a slump? Strike two! If you've got $500 down and you make at least $2,000 per month, our lenders can get you approved. So if you want to strike out, that's okay. But if you want to hit a home run and save on a new Volkswagen, come see us today at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road or StokesVW.com.
$1,666 per month per $1,000 borrowed for 60 months at 0% APR with zero down. Plus tax tag. Includes $499.50 administration fee. Subject to VCI credit approval. Expires month end.
Peace and love at Stokes VW.
Wando Power Equipment, the trusted home of Hustler zero-turn residential and commercial mowers. There is nobody more trusted in South Carolina than our friends from Wando Power Equipment. They've been providing elite commercial and residential service for over 30 years. Landscape Services have turned to their selection of Hustler zero-turn mowers like the Raptor. Bigger, stronger, faster, and the most durable Raptor Hustler has ever designed. Located on Daniel Island and online at wandopower.com. Wando Power Equipment, owned by the Price family, the home of Hustler zero-turn mowers, rentals, service, and specializing in family and friendship.
Shrimping season's back. That means local caught shrimp. That's right. Local caught shrimp back on the menu at the Dog and Duck. All three locations, Bell Hall, Park West, and Clements Ferry Road, now featuring once again local caught hand-breaded shrimp, plus other daily specials like the Game Day Burger every Wednesday, Rib Night on Friday, rotating taps all the time, and all the TVs you can possibly imagine for whatever you want to watch. The Dog and Duck in Bell Hall, Park West, and on Clements Ferry Road.
What's up, everybody? This is South Carolina singer-songwriter Patrick Davis, and I might live in Nashville, Tennessee now, but guess what? I can always keep up with the news back in South Carolina because I've got the JB and Goldwater Show. Thank you, JB and Darren, for being live, loud, and awesome.
All right, 12:34. Welcome back. Thursday afternoon. Darren Goldwater, me, JB, Cory McCartney. He's King Grand Slam is what we're going to call him this week. When you play the Nationals, you have to hit a Grand Slam, right, Darren? But we'll head to Atlanta and welcome in Cory now for all his. Did Noah hit another one last night? Who hit that one last night?
Oh, that was Marcelo Zuna.
Oh, a position player.
That's
Weird.
right.
Never happens.
Now that's 3 on this road trip, though. You know, this is the first time the Braves have ever hit 3 home runs in a road trip, and they still got a game to play today.
The good news is everyone will be able to watch this game because it's on YouTube. It's the YouTube thing, so I don't even think they're a local broadcast. You have to watch it via YouTube.
Exactly. Yep.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. Well, all right. Well, so that's the ticket from here on out, Cory. Just load the bases. Somebody hit one out of the park, and you'll win, basically. I was surprised, though, that Max Fried didn't go yard last night, especially against the Nationals. They're known for giving up the long ball to opposing pitchers.
Which is odd because, honestly, Max Fried's the best hitter that they have among their pitchers. So,
He is actually. Yeah, when he was part of that rotation with Jack Flaherty and Lucas Giolito, Rio Ruiz used to play with them in travel ball, and he said he was the best hitter on their team.
Wow. Well, he might be the best hitter on the Nationals team. I'm just kidding, Darren.
If Soto can come back, that would be nice. But there's something going on with Soto, right? They activate him, but they're still not comfortable with his arm. It's beginning to get to that worrisome point. Are there any rumblings that it's worse than what they're letting on?
I've not heard anything. I mean, certainly a weird situation to even use him in last night. I mean, certainly if there was a National League had a designated hitter, that would be an optimum place to use him right now. But no, I've not heard anything. But certainly, to not have your best player out there, your best offensive player. Apologies to Trey Turner for 9 innings. You think they'd want that to happen?
Mm-hmm. What do you make of the NL East, Corey? I mean, we got to remember it's May 6th. I mean, there's a long ways to go. There's only one team with a winning record, and that's Philly now, 1 game over.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, so we thought it was going to be tight. It is, but it's not. I mean, the offense, three of the offenses in this division are 21st or worse in Fangraphs WAR right now, including the division leading Phillies. And then when you look at the pitching side of it, 3 teams are in the bottom 20, in the bottom 4. I'm sorry, 2 teams are in the bottom 4 in their rotation with the Braves and the Nationals. So this division has been a mess. I mean, the only team with a positive run differential are the last place Marlins. It doesn't make any sense when you look at it. I mean, certainly there's a long way to go, as you said. But we're going to get to the point where we stop saying it's a long way to go, and we have to start asking ourselves whether this division is actually anywhere near as good as we thought it was going to be, or if it's just bunched up at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. It's is that we all coming into the year, I think it's fair to say this division, probably want to throw the NL East in there, but I would say the AL East in there, but I'd say the NL West, right? Those the 3 divisions maybe most folks thought would be closest down the stretch. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, certainly the people thought the Dodgers outside the West that it was going to be a little bit tighter, but the Dodgers are a 3rd place team right now. So I mean, it's that's been wild. But yeah, I mean, the NL East was the one that everyone anticipated. I mean, there was I believe 4 teams in this division that Vegas pegged at 83.5 or more wins. So and right now they're the best team in the division has 16 wins, and you're talking about the Marlins just being 2 games out.
Yeah, so it kind of begs the question of, well, which division has been a little bit more surprising? You mentioned the Dodgers. Of course, they just got swept by the Cubs, so they're a game and a half back, which isn't that far out. But it's the Giants that lead the division. The Red Sox lead the AL East still, but here come the Yankees, so be careful there. And then the Phillies lead the NL East. Would you have a pick of those 3? This one has been more surprising than the other?
I think it's the NL West. I mean, certainly the Dodgers being a 3rd place team right now. I mean, the Padres are just a half game out, but I certainly think that's the one. I mean, the Giants had a nice finish to last year. I think you wondered if they could do it for the duration of a season. I mean, we can obviously the Red Sox and Royals have been great stories, but I mean, the Dodgers have won that division 7 years in a row. So for anybody, I think to be sitting atop that with them. If it was going to be the Padres, maybe, but I don't think you would have thought, one, the Giants were going to be there, and secondly, that the Dodgers would be a 3rd place team at the moment.
On Twitter at Cory J. McCartney. Cory McCartney joining us in Atlanta, Georgia. All right, so it was proven yesterday that a perfect game takes more than one man to accomplish. I know when perfect games are thrown, we always celebrate the pitcher, but because of a wild pitch, it's a no-hitter and not a perfect game. So he's 1 pitch away from that. But assess that performance. How many no-hitters is that this year? Is that 3 already?
That's 3. Yep, that's 3. Should be 4. Should be 4, but it's 3.
Yes, very good. The 7-inning one didn't count.
Should that count in your opinion?
Oh, I think it has. I mean, I think I told you guys last week. It's not like Madison Bumgarner went out there and said, "I'm only throwing 7 innings today.
Right.
I'm out after set." They said you're playing 7 innings.
Mm-hmm.
So what you accomplish within those parameters is what you accomplish in those parameters. But the one yesterday, with Means, I mean, you're talking about the first time in baseball history that a pitcher, had a perfect lost a perfect game because of a missed third strike.
Right.
I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's more heartbreaking if you're the pitcher to have that happen or to have the Andres Galarraga moment, where you lose it for, a play at first base. I mean, obviously debatable. I mean, that one was a little more in his hands. Means did his job and still didn't get the perfect game.
Yeah, that is a really good question. We should make that a poll question. What's more frustrating, the Galarraga missed call or you wonder if like somebody one day way down the line is going to just throw a major kink into this whole thing and say, well, replay shows that he was out, so we're going to acknowledge this as a no-hitter or perfect game.
Retroactively, give him a perfect game.
But I think they should do that for Madison Bumgarner for that 7-inning no-hitter. They can still change that. They can't they?
I would think I would think the commissioner's office could say, we've decided that we're going to make, to see that as a no-hitter. I guess it kind of depends too. Like, are we going to have 7-inning no-hitters after this year? If we have them after this year, after the collective bargaining agreement, I don't think we're going to. I think it's more about saving pitchers' arms this year. But if they were to continue them, I think you'd have to go back and say, look, we have to acknowledge this thing. But at this point, they're not doing it.
It was acknowledged in 2015 when Means threw a no-hitter against the River Dogs. It was the first game of a doubleheader, and it was 7 innings, and it was a no-hitter. So there, it happened in the minors.
Yeah. Well, you know what else happened yesterday? Tony La Russa didn't know one of the rules of extra innings. Have y'all seen this story?
Yep.
Okay. So is this? It's clearly Tony La Russa's fault, but can we just start blaming baseball for some of these silly rules they're plugging in now, Corey?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to make. You could say that he needs to know that this is his job to know, and he's obviously taken some hits this year for some miscues in the manager role after being out for extended period of time and getting inducted into the Hall of Fame during that time away. But in the American League, they're not having their pitchers hit all the time, so you may not realize that you don't have to have your pitcher be the guy on second base to start the extra innings unless they tell you explicitly this is how it works. I mean, I remember earlier in the year, one of the first couple of games of Braves played extra innings, and Chip Carey was dumbfounded by it, the fact that they were not having the pitcher be the guy that was on second base. So I don't 100% know that you could say everyone involved is 100% up on how things play out in these extra innings.
Well, and so people, I hope if somebody doesn't know what we're talking about, let me explain what happened. So there was a double switch, which put the pitcher in the 5 spot in the lineup. And because they went to the bottom, and when they went to the bottom of the inning, the previously or last recorded out will be the runner on second, but that was the pitcher. But if you have a pitcher in the lineup, you can revert back to the player that hits before him in the lineup, which would have been the 4-hole hitter. And in this case would have been Jose Abreu. So it sounds more complicated than it is. It's really just about, okay, well, we started a runner on second. Who is it? Oh, God, that's our pitcher. All right, the other guy, you run out there. But I was actually more surprised, or as surprised, I would say, Corey, that nobody else figured it out. He just tried. Nobody even said a word. Well, the pitcher's going to run out there to second. And nobody in the dugout knew it either. Nobody. There's how many people in the dugout? 30, 35 guys? Nobody knew it.
Yeah, I guess if you're the Reds, you're just laughing at it, right? While you're watching it, because you probably know that rule, but the fact that the American League hasn't had their pitchers hit,
right?
I mean, they're not used to that. I mean, I don't know if it's in that moment, is it the umpire's job to go over to a Hall of Fame manager and say, "Are you sure you want to do this?" Or do they just have to say, "Maybe this guy knows what he's doing. We're just going to go out there and play the inning." So. I'm sure if it would have been a younger manager, maybe, but maybe La Russa's, maybe his, his resume has something to do with not going over and questioning that if you're the umpires.
Well, let me go a different way with that, because there are already rumblings, and no one saw this coming, of issues in the locker room between the young players and Tony La Russa. So maybe it is possible someone in that dugout or a few people knew and just sat on their hands and did nothing about it. I'm just throwing that out there because let's go down this road with the White Sox, who should be one of the better teams in baseball right now, and there's obvious contention in that in that locker room, right? So where is this thing going to end up this year?
I think I would honestly be surprised if he's back next year. I don't see Tony La Russa walking away from it this year. But I mean, look, he's mismanaged things to the point where he had, in a crucial situation a week ago, he had the bat in the hand of Billy Hamilton, who is not a guy that you want. I mean, the only reason you have Billy Hamilton is to put him in as a defensive replacement, or to put him in, to run the bases for somebody. You don't want the bat in his hand in a meaningful situation. I mean, this, obviously they're right there in it with the Royals and the Indians. They're all tied for first place right now. But go back to, there was Tim Anderson, before the season, there was questions about, how is he going to handle outspoken players? How is he going to handle this new generation? And, clearly there's pieces of the modern game that are not up to snuff with this guy. And then you add in the fact that he has his legal issues after the DUI, and it just seemed like an odd combination to begin with. I honestly would be surprised if this is more than a 1, if 2 years max thing.
Would that be it, you think, for Tony La Russa?
I don't know what else he has to do, right? I mean, he was part of the Nashville group that was going to help to bring baseball there, and then it was him and Dombrowski and Dave Stewart, and they were all part of that group. So I would imagine, maybe he just kind of transitions into, try to get baseball into the state of Tennessee.
Has there been any movement with expansion?
Well, there's been word from a interview with Rob Manfred, in which he said that the kind of get your foot in the door fee now is going to be $2 billion for a franchise. If you want to expand, which is weird because the average value of a major league franchise, they're not meeting that. I mean, it's because there's some low end franchises. Obviously, the value of the Yankees and the Dodgers and the value of the Orioles or the Royals is a very different equation. But to say somebody has to have is $2 billion is the rights fee to get in there. I mean, it's just a little overstepping. So, but yeah, that was from the mouth of my man Fred in the last week.
What can you clarify that it's $2 billion just to be in the conversation?
Yeah, so that's the amount of money that you would have to have in order to basically pay your way in to have a franchise.
But that doesn't, if you pay the $2 billion, that doesn't mean that you're going to be selected.
No, that's the expansion fee, right? So that's what you're paying the league to have a team.
Oh, okay. But you have to be selected first, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So if Vegas and Nashville are rewarded teams, they're on the hook for the $2 billion, and if they say we're not paying it, then they got to go find somebody else.
Yes, that's the average. So they took the average valuation of a major league team, which is $2.2 billion, and that's what he's saying is the expansion franchise fee. But I mean, we clearly know that not all markets are the same, and so to be able to, it just seems, I don't know. I thought it was a kind of an astronomical figure.
What other ownership groups out there are interested in expansion? Is there a big name or two that is putting together a proposal somewhere? Have you heard?
I believe there's a group in Portland. I believe the Blazers ownership has something to do with that. Then obviously, the one in Nashville is the one that has the most clout behind it, if you will, with the previously La Russa and Dombrowski. I don't know how much they're involved with it now, but certainly, to have Dave Stewart still there, there's momentum. I just don't know if it's nearly as strong as they want to maybe believe it is.
And A-Rod is just interested in the NBA now, right?
Well, he's dating services, I would imagine, at this point. So,
But he's part. Didn't he buy the Timberwolves with somebody?
Yeah,
he bought the Timberwolves.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
Okay, so A-Rod's out of baseball. He's just going to call the games and run the NBA stuff. Well, that's it. That seems fun. We were talking about you just a few days ago, and I can't even remember how it came up, Darren. You'll have to remind me if I'm missing something here. But we were referencing Nashville and its potential for an expansion city into Major League Baseball. But what we were referencing you is in the past we've had these conversations, And you've pointed out that the Braves probably not big on that idea. So is that still the case? And I can't even watch the Braves. I've got Dish Network. I can't watch them. So with some of these different TV deals, is that as big of a deal as it used to be?
I think that's a good question. I think where you kind of see things headed, at least in my mind, I obviously spent 8 years working for the television home of the Braves, which is now called Bally Sports South, and kind of saw the way that those deals come together, what's in it for the team, what's in it for the local market. I think baseball is getting to the point where you're going to see them contract and take in these rights themselves, because I think there's enough understanding that you don't really necessarily need these delivery services, especially if in the case of what's happening in many parts of the country right now, that Sinclair Broadcasting, that owns all these former Fox RSNs, owns the streaming rights to the Cubs as the owners of the Marquee Network, and has their say in the Yes Network as well. You're talking about millions of people. I believe the figure was 11 million people didn't have access to games on opening day. I mean, it's insane the amount of money that MLB is losing out on because of the fact that they're not getting into the homes of people. Now, on the flip side of it, they're going to get their rights fees regardless from these providers. I believe I saw that was more than a $3 billion rights fees that Sinclair Broadcasting is going to have to pay out. And they have, they don't have the proceeds coming in from all these subscribers to be able to meet this. So I think the way this ultimately goes is that MLB is going to take these rights. You're going to see them create, more national packages. I think you're going to see the blackouts kind of pull away from, the way things have operated, and maybe that MLB app. If you have that, you can get your local teams. I mean, look, it's very clear that the most popular sport in our country is on free TV every week, and you get to see almost every team. The NFL does not have these issues where you're telling your local market that they can't watch games. It's insane that this is happening with baseball, and certainly to their detriment. I think long term you're going to see baseball take these rights in.
I was having this conversation this week actually, and I was going down that exact same road, Corey. I was telling people who I was having the conversation with, I said, look at the NFL and the way they're doing it. One day, and hopefully we're getting closer to that day, because there is increased numbers of people because of the Sinclair issues that you just pointed out. There are more and more people that can't see their game. So hopefully sooner than later, we're at a point like the NFL where these blackout things are a thing of the past. Because honestly, we can talk about issues in the game. We could talk about pace of play, and we could talk about the offensive numbers, and we could talk about stuff on pitchers' hands. The biggest issue Major League Baseball has is this. And there's no way you can convince me otherwise. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I think that's what it all boils down to. You can't get a kid to fall in love with his local team if he can't watch his local team. I think you're clearly going to see, and Rob Manfred understands that. I mean, as much as Bud Selig's, his regime was about streaming. I know you don't look at Bud Selig and you think about this visionary technology guy, but what MLB BAM technology did was give you HBO Max. It gave you all these services that Disney Plus. That's all because of MLB, and then the fact that they're still on the back burner of this and still a step behind as the innovators of this technology is borderline crazy. I just think the model that we currently have just doesn't work in today's market. And I think you're going to see it transition in the next few years.
I agree. I really do. I agree with both of y'all. I think that what they have done, they've totally missed the mark over the last few years with some of these changes they've tried to put into the game to, come up with these wacky reasons, speed it up, do this, that, and the other. They're way off. Like Darren just said, one of the reasons why football is so popular is, kids could watch Peyton Manning every Sunday. They could watch Brett Favre every Sunday. They could watch whoever. I mean, insert name here. And they started to create their heroes. And ask these kids who play, you see them come through college sports, high school sports, whatever, who they look up to. And these are people that they watch on TV every week. And yeah, it might be a far-fetched dream that they're going to be that person one day. But that's what it's all about. I mean, when I was a kid, Corey, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about here. You can watch the Braves were on TBS every night at 7:05 or 7:35, and everybody wanted to be Javi Lopez or Fred McGriff or Chipper Jones or Greg Maddux or whoever, and this love fest turned. That's why they became America's team, because you could find them every single night. But you can't do that anymore. So I'm not sure how you grow the sport. And I would argue, not to be long-winded here, but I would argue that this youth movement in baseball right now is as good as we've ever seen. I mean, I bet you could ask 10 kids, and he's not young anymore, but he's still young. 10 kids today, who is Mike Trout? And you might get 5 of them that know, and that is sorry.
You know, one of the things I really hate about the current situation is, obviously most people nowadays have access to, to cable, to streaming services, whatever. But there's a lot of people that watch their television over broadcast TV. There's still people they can't even watch baseball. What option do those people have? There's not national packages anymore where you're seeing a game in the middle of the afternoon on ABC or Fox like there used to be. I mean, it's much more, a much more condensed version of that. We just don't have the access to baseball like we had before. And, there's literally billions of dollars in this. Sinclair spent $22 billion on this deal to get these networks, believing it. And they think that adding gambling to it is going to be the solution to get more people to come aboard. But I think all it really boils down to is, baseball is smart enough to realize that they're going to have to take this internally. And I definitely think you're going to see that happen.
Yeah, it's about exposure. You got to expose your product. And I'm with you. Hey, look, man, Disney owns ABC and ESPN. Maybe somebody there will find the kahunas to put a game on or two on ABC during the weeknights. People would watch it. So I don't know. I'm with Tyler. David Justice. Everybody wanted to be David Justice. He was married to Halle Berry, for God's sakes. That was our hero. On that note, we're going to let you run, my friend. Fun stuff today. I'm glad we got into some of that. Thank you so much. Pass along our best to whoever that is. And
what kind of dog is he?
It's a Shih Tzu Yorkie. She thinks she's bigger than she is.
Yeah, so. They all do. So do I sometimes. Yeah, she's as frustrated as we are. We get it. She heard the conversation and came running. Have a great weekend, brother. We'll talk to you next week.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, Cory McCartney in Hotlanta, Georgia. It's that time. We can start calling it Hotlanta again, because it will be warm, because the summer has arrived. All right, we got to hit a timeout. When we return, Ryan Ogle, he is the director of the PGA Championship. Guess what? We are 2 weeks away to the day from the start of it here out at the Ocean Course on Kiawah Island. We'll get an update from him on, is Tiger Woods playing? Is John Daly playing this year? No, I'm just kidding. We will have fun, though. Ryan Ogle up next right here on the JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen.
Mike Morgan here for Gamecock Traditions. Baseball is going strong. You'll want to look sharp when you cheer on your Gamecocks. Under Armour, New Era, sideline hats, all with interlocking SC Baseball logo. 18 styles of $10 tees exclusively at Gamecock Traditions. Get on that email list by going to the bottom of the page, enter your email, and always be the first to know about new items as they arrive. You can also add a little Gamecock flair with house signs, garden flags, interior and yard decorations, only at one place, Gamecock Traditions.
At Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum, families walk in the footsteps of our nation's heroes, the brave ones who risked their lives to defend our way of life. Home to the aircraft carrier USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, and the USS Clamagore, there's more than 1 million square feet of exhibit space to roam. White Glove certified, we have several new health safety measures in place to enhance the visitor experience. Come for the day and leave feeling inspired. One of the most impressive museums in the country, located right here in Mount Pleasant. Visit patriotspoint.org for more. We'll see you soon.
Bourbon and whiskey drinkers of Charleston, Paddock and Whiskey on James Island and the Terrace Shopping Center on Maybank is your home for the finest and rarest bourbon and whiskey drinks in the Lowcountry. This is where I hang out. Go meet my friends Reed and Chris and try one of their exclusive barrel pick bourbons. They have the largest private barrel collection in the state, and let their knowledgeable staff recommend your next pour. PaddockandWhiskey.com. Let not your heart be troubled. Paddock and Whiskey is here for your next double. We're all friends around here. Paddock and Whiskey, proud partners of the JB and Goldwater Show.
This is Scott Glaze, head golf professional at the Links at Stono Ferry, located on the outskirts of Charleston, South Carolina. I'm inviting you to tee it up on one of the most scenic and challenging courses in the Lowcountry. Our back nine is highlighted with 3 holes that border the Intercoastal Waterway. Visit stonoferrygolf.com to book tee times and discover all that Stono Ferry has to offer. The Links at Stono Ferry is a former South Carolina Golf Course of the Year and is also home to the College of Charleston men's and women's golf teams. Come see us. We would love to have you. stonoferrygolf.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Half, Public Information Officer at the Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum. We're home of the mighty USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, Flamagore, and Vietnam experience. And we're a proud partner of the JB and Goldwater Show. We invite you and your family to come see us and enjoy a day on Charleston Harbor. Visit patriotspoint.org for more information. And now, it is my honor to present the national anthem.
JB Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online.
Final hour, Thursday afternoon. Welcome back. The JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen. Make sure you've downloaded the JB and Goldwater app. That's where you can watch and listen to us daily until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Of course, you can always head to jbandgoldwatershow.com. If you are watching to the right of the screen now, that's Darren. You can follow him on social media at Darren Goldwater. To the left, that's me, JB, and you can follow me as well at Sports Media JB, collectively across all social media platforms at JB and Goldwater. Thanks to Cory McCartney in Atlanta, Georgia in that last segment, and South Carolina pitching coach Skylar Meade for joining us at the top of the noon hour just a little while ago. Scott Glaze, golf pro out at Stono Ferry. He's going to check in as he always does on Thursdays, coming up in about a half an hour. But first, we head out to the Ocean Course, and that is where we find PGA Championship Director Ryan Ogle, 2 weeks shy of the 2021 PGA Championship at the Ocean Course at Kiawah Island. Good afternoon, my friend. I'm sure you're ready to go. How are you?
I'm well, JB. Thank you. 12 days and counting, but who's counting, right? Things are ramping up here.
This is it's hard to believe that it's here. I think Darren and I had this conversation not too long ago, because I remember about this time last year we were telling ourselves we're only a year away, and we've gone through a COVID year. So this is it's been a long drawn out process, I think, with COVID inserted, but nonetheless it's about to arrive. What has that been like, dealing with some of those issues over the last few months as you lead into the championship?
Yeah, it's been an interesting year for all of us, especially for large events. But things are going well. We started planning this event, all the way back when we agreed with the resort to come back. I think we signed the agreement in 2014. So we've really been thinking about it since then, but really in earnest the last 2 years when we arrived on site. But the last 8 to 12 months have definitely presented some unique challenges. But luckily for us, the trends have improved over the months, and we're set to welcome spectators back to the championship, which we're excited about. And all that work and preparation is finally coming, kind of coming together, and the course is looking great. We're looking forward to welcoming our spectators and the national spotlight here to Kiawah Island Golf Resort.
Well, what is capacity right now, Ryan?
No, we did agree to reduce the championship back in March. Made an announcement, working in close with the state officials from South Carolina and DHEC. We did have to reduce the championship. We announced then to 10,000 spectators. But at the same time, it was a moment of celebration to say, hey, we get to welcome fans back. In 2020, we did not have spectators join us, and when we hosted it in San Francisco. But welcome the fans back. I know the players are really looking forward to them being back. We're looking forward to it, and it's a great setting to welcome them to the ocean course along the Atlantic Ocean. It's shaping up to be a great experience.
If the fans that are heading out there, if you're listening and you've got tickets, what do they need to know? What protocols must they adhere to? What are the traffic patterns like? What do they need to know to get to the course and have the best experience possible at the course?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for those joining us, I think the first thing I highly recommend is jump on our website, pgachampionship.com, and there's a spectator guide that really lays out everything you need to know before you go. So things like what you can bring in the gates and what you can't. Our COVID precautions, which, we're still making sure we host this championship responsibly. Things like masks will be required, practicing social distancing. A couple other things is, tickets are digital. So make sure you charge your phone. It's a cashless environment. So we're making sure everyone remembers a credit card or Apple Pay, Google Pay. So those changes. And then there's some really good information on, parking and transportation. So our parking is near Freshfield Village, which is right when you get on the island, just like it was in 2012. But it's important that everyone understands, if you haven't been out to Kiawah, it is an island. There's one road in, one road out. So we definitely want people, even on a good day, it's an hour drive from Charleston. We want people to understand that, plan ahead, plan accordingly. But we've put in some really good changes from 2012 that we believe is going to help with the traffic flow. But the uniqueness of this island does present a little pre-planning. So definitely go to our website, check that out. It should have everything you need to attend the championship.
Ryan Ogle, championship director for the PGA Championship, which is they'll tee off in 2 weeks. I wish it was 2 days, 2 weeks on May the 20th out at the Ocean Course. So let's talk about the course. How's it look? What's different about it this time compared to the last time that the championship was played in town?
Well, I'll say the course is in perfect condition. We've been blessed with some great weather. The superintendent, Jeff Stone, has been doing this for many years. He's been a part of multiple events out here at the Ocean Course, most recently our 2012 PGA Championship. And he's got this thing ready to rock and roll for the best players in golf. I think the biggest changes you're going to see is, first off, the course has been lengthened slightly. There's a couple of holes that they added some tee boxes. It's going to play just shy of 7,900 yards. It's quite the distance. I tried it a couple of weeks ago, and it's way too long for me. But that'll test the players. I think also the biggest change is going from August to May. And what that is presented here is first off, some better climate, some cooler temperatures. The course is really popping. You also see some increased wind, which is going to, keep everyone cooler, but also challenge the best players a little bit more. When that wind really blows here, that's when you really get the challenge of this peak dye design. And then there's going to be, hopefully, knock on some wood, there will be a little bit drier in May. So that'll all set up for what I think will be a memorable event on a picturesque golf course, whether you're attending or you're watching it through our broadcast. I mean, this is a beautiful setting for golf. It's a great major championship venue, and I really think it's going to test the best players in the world.
What hole will you be releasing the no CMs on? No, I'm just kidding.
That's an important one too, right? If you're coming out here, may want to bring your sunscreen, but you may want to pack some bug spray as well. But that wind really helps, and they do a lot of things to keep that in control.
Yeah, we actually just got an email from Ariel here. Make sure that you visit the 13,000 square foot PGA shop, and that's where you can get your no CMs spray, I guess. We
got a lot of great things in the shop, like merchandise, but we also have some chairs. We want to try to remind everyone to bring a collapsible chair. We unfortunately had to remove grandstands to do the COVID procedures. But also unique to this event, we've partnered with a local company, Mission to Essentials, who produce a all-natural bug spray that's kind of really well known in the Low Country. Mm-hmm. And so we've added that, and I've got mine on my desk. Hopefully we don't need it much, but it's definitely something to be aware of.
Well, to your point, you already made it. In playing in May out there will be different in August. There should be more wind. I think we all anticipate that. August, it can it can be awfully muggy and damp, and this is a great change. So what have some of the players been saying about the ocean course? How many of them have I don't know if you can name them specifically or not, but how many have kind of cycled through maybe over the last few weeks and played around here or there? What have you heard from the guys on tour about how this is shaping up?
Yeah, absolutely. This course is well known on the tour from 2012 and multiple events that it's hosted, and the players really enjoy the challenge that it presents. We've started to see more and more come out to play some practice rounds. A couple weeks ago, we had our defending champion, Colin Morikawa, in town. He played the course, really enjoyed it, really got to respect the challenge. Is really a second shot golf course. It's all about your approach shots, and that wind will dictate, how difficult some holes are playing. Recently, we saw Matt Kuchar, Harrison English, Will Zalatoris stop by. So we're starting to see the players come out and test it as they're in close proximity, whether they're bouncing up to Wells Fargo this week or they are around for the RBC Heritage. We're definitely seeing more of them come out and get a practice round in. And the overwhelming response has been nothing but positive. And they can see that, this is going to test the players, but it's also a very fair golf course that is going to allow players to go for pins and go for birdies and eagles. And that's what I really appreciate about our championship. It's there for the taking. It's not about, holding on. It's more of attacking and trying to outperform everyone instead of versus kind of make the fewer mistakes. It's who can make the most, take the most advantage.
Ryan, what is there a protocol or are there guidelines for the players on tour and how often they can play a course before that championship date arrives?
No, there's no formal restriction that I'm aware of. We are a little bit outside the norm because we are the PGA Championship operated by the PGA of America. We adhere and have a great partnership with the PGA Tour, but we do have unique, different protocols. We do not put a restriction on that. I can't speak for the other events. I'd be surprised if so. You don't really see players have a lot of time to come out and play a lot, but we'd welcome them to come out and compete as much as they need to prepare. And we've never seen anyone take advantage of it. We're glad to have them out here. And I know the host side always loves having the professionals out and hearing their response of, a lot of work they put in to prepare this course for a major championship.
With the guys in Charlotte now, and then the tournament at Kiawah in 2 weeks, do you think some of the guys, you probably know which will some start trickling in even earlier than typical, like even earlier than the Monday of the event because they're right up the road anyway, and they know that they're not playing next week if they're not?
Yeah, you may see a few come and play some practice rounds next week. I don't expect it to be a large increase. We don't really have our first official practice round day till the Sunday, the day before the gates open, but they can come out here and request tee times before then. You will see a few, but with the Byron Nelson being the week before us in Texas, that's a pretty well-attended event. Mm-hmm. I think you'll see quite a few go there. Or these guys, they play so much to take a break. Well, if they have the week off, they may take advantage of that and take a breather. The ones you see come out and really take advantage probably will be the ones that don't play week in, week out. Probably our team of 20 PGA professionals that their day job is running a golf course or giving lessons. They've qualified for this, and this is their biggest event of the year. We'll see them probably come out and take a little bit more advantage, but we don't expect a huge increase. It's kind of hectic the week before anyways, but we'll probably see a few since they are in close proximity for sure.
All right, we're concerned about the 2021 PGA Championship here at Kiawah, but is it okay or is it fair for us to ask if the Ocean Course has entertained submitting a bid to host again in the future?
Yeah, we have such a great track record with the resort's leadership, and the Ocean Course being just a perfect golf course for a major championship, dating all the way back to 1991, the Ryder Cup, 2012 PGA Championship, and we're looking forward to 2021. I know they're interested and want to welcome us back, and we're definitely having those conversations. Nothing official as of the day, and the biggest challenge for them is we've already assigned the next 8 events all the way through 2029. So the first opening is 2030, and I know they're hoping to to have us back. And if they're so welcoming in the community as a whole, when you look at whether it's the 3,200 volunteers that signed up originally, the tickets selling out in 10 days and the corporate support, I mean, it's a great golf community, and they support major championships and major events as a whole. So I don't think you can ask for more from a host site.
One of the things I wanted to make sure that I didn't forget, and almost did forget to ask you here, the use of rangefinders. It's not allowed on the PGA Tour, but it is going to be allowed at this event. Why was that decision made, and to what benefit will it be for the players?
Yeah, what we're really trying to do at the end of the day, the PGA of America is about serving our 29,000 men and women that work in golf, PGA professionals, and grow the game of golf. Those two initiatives, and they kind of work hand in hand. And one thing we're really pushing is, we need to modernize golf. We need to be open to changes that improve the overall experience for all golfers. And you're seeing rangefinders be common amongst everyday golfers like you and I. And why not allow the professionals, if they feel that they'll benefit from it, and it hopefully would speed up play, then why not do it? It's not going to hurt anyone. The comments have been, we don't know if it'll speed up play. That would be a great result if we saw that. But at the end of the day, they're getting the yardages. Allowing them to use the rangefinders isn't giving them a competitive advantage. So we wanted to open up that opportunity and really say that it's good for golf, and it's something I think we'll see moving forward. And how can we continue to evolve and move forward in golf and bring whether that's new technologies or new thinking to the table to modernize the game for the future.
All right, last couple here, and then we know you've got a tournament to host here, so we're going to let you go get to it. But whereabouts, I guess, in the future will we see a finalized field?
Yeah, it's coming really, really soon. We have our last few spots we're filling. The winners of the next two events, if they're not already in the field, they will be eligible to participate. So you'll start seeing that. We'll announce the tee times the week of the championship early in the week. But I mean, right now, we annually have one of the strongest fields, if not the strongest, with the most top 100 players in the world competing compared to any other event. To date, we have 33 major champions in the field, 3 Hall of Famers. I mean, all the who's who of golf is going to be here, and it's going to be a stacked house. And I think we're going to see a great competition on a great track.
Kind of an interesting question for you. How many players in the field, and I know this probably differentiates from week to week and wherever folks are, but ballpark, how many players show up without a caddy, and how are they assigned a caddy?
Yeah, it's very limited on the regular tour. I had operated a few of our senior PGA championship. It's a little more common to see it there, but these guys usually have traveling caddies with them. If, however, they don't, we work with the club, and they identify some of their more seasoned or veteran caddies to be ready to help out. If a player is to request one, it's a pretty simple process. They just make a request to the club. They get assigned a caddy, and the caddies out here are top class. They know this course probably better than anyone else, and arguably probably have looped it more than anyone else. So, if someone doesn't show up with a caddy, they're going to be in good hands. They're going to be assigned one that does this day in, day out. And, who knows out here with the wind and how it can affect the course and the subtleness of the greens. There's not a lot of undulation in these greens. And, you think you see one thing, but it doesn't break as much or whatever. They may have a little bit more advantage going with a local caddy. So we try to make that process as easy as possible. We don't see a lot of people take advantage of it, but that is an opportunity for them.
The reason that I asked you that question, Ryan, is just maybe a week or two ago, I ran into somebody. I did not know this lady at all. We were actually in the grocery store, and her son-in-law is a caddy out there, and he's apparently a pretty good one. I don't know his name, and if I did, I wouldn't say it. But apparently, just a couple of weeks ago, if you've been here, maybe you can confirm this. I'm not sure, but apparently he caddied for Justin Timberlake, and Justin Timberlake liked him so much, said, "I'm coming back here before long, and I'm going to request you again, my friend." So I started thinking about that, and figured I'd pass that story along. Did you see Justin Timberlake at the Ocean Course?
I missed out on that. My wife would be disappointed that I missed that. But, they do have some big names come through here. It's definitely a bucket list course. I mean, a top 100 course. I think it's top 10 or top 5 of public courses in the nation. So they definitely get some big names. And like I said, they've got a great program and they show everyone a really good time. And that's another great thing about hosting our championship here. It is a public course. So it's a course you can watch the best players in the world compete, and then you can come out and try it yourself. And I think that's always unique when we get to host on public courses, and something that's great for the everyday golfer.
Speaking of the caddies, I know 2 of them who are out there pretty well. One of them is walking the course with a pro and the pros caddy. I want to say next week. How often does that happen? That maybe you're not using a local caddy, one of the resort caddies, but you'll come out there and at least get their expertise prior to the tournament.
I don't know how frequent, but I'm not surprised, and I have heard of that in the past. I think it's a wise thing to do if the opportunity presents itself and the caddy's open to it. Because like I said, there's some uniqueness and some nuances to this golf course. And especially the different winds that you'll see, because the winds will blow in all different directions. And to have that local knowledge, to understand the green contours, I mean, that's priceless information. So I think whoever's doing that is smart, and I think it'll pay off.
Ryan Ogle, championship director for the PGA Championship. Now we're less than 2 weeks away from it teeing off out at the Ocean Course. It'll be 2 Thursdays from now, but early in the morning, so we'll be following along. We really can't wait. We really appreciate your time as well. Obviously, if you need anything between now and then or at any other point in time in the future, please reach out and let us know, and we'll be right there for you. And I hope the next couple of weeks go incredibly smoothly. We're excited to have the PGA Championship back in town out at Kiawah, and we look forward to talking again soon, okay?
Hey, guys, thanks for the time and the support. Make sure you tune in. You guys have a good day.
Yes, sir. We absolutely will. We're very much looking forward to that. Very excited about it. I know that Darren has popped up the odds a couple of times as they stand today. And, of course, some of this might change a little bit over the next couple of weeks. But that is your post-up careers resume comparison. Dustin Johnson, John Rahm, JT, DeChambeau, and Spieth. Maybe, at this point in time, maybe considered the favorites. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see kind of how it all works out. But certainly 5 of the biggest names in the sport there, Darren. And, one of the things that I've always found interesting about some of these tournaments is I like what you were doing and some of the questions even that I was asking. I like to know how it – because it's different. Like, it's not like a championship in sports where the team arrives on a bus and you see them out there go work out and you watch them play the game and you go home. These guys, their schedules are different. They could come out and play the course one day, play it another day, a couple of weeks early. They can call up and get a course caddy. I always like to kind of hear how some of the tour members, how some of the players manage, especially these larger events, a little bit differently than others.
And particularly this course. I mean, Ryan touched on it in most of his answers, and it's true. The uniqueness of this course and the nuances of this course and the second shot, the approach shot, the winds coming from everywhere. There aren't any people out there who know this course better than particularly the seasoned caddies who are at that course, walking that course on a regular basis. I mean, that I believe the Post and Courier has done a feature. I know they've done a feature on the caddies. I think there's another feature out there that maybe PGA is doing hole by hole. We should have one of the caddies with us, part of our coverage, trying to figure out exactly how often and when. But I mean, it'll be fascinating to just simply hear, all right, if you're here on hole X, Y, or Z, if you're playing that 17th, what are you going to do? What do you do if the wind does this? Those are the type of insights that are super valuable. And by the way, as you looked at those resume matchups, not a whole lot of major wins amongst the favorites. Those are the favorites as of today. Brought to you by Post Up Careers. Franklin's now doing this full time. It's his number one job, now his only job, because he backed out of his last job because he said, I don't need it. All I'm doing is Post Up Careers, and that means he's helping you further your career, change your career, whatever you need assistance with. He specializes in LinkedIn optimization, resume writing, interview prep, and job search assistance. So reach out to Franklin Buchanan at Post Up Careers.
I bet real off topic here, real quick, but I bet it's really interesting right now for a guy like Franklin because all these jobs have come back. Restaurants can't hire anybody. So I'd be interested, and there's a lot of people just don't want to go back to work because they're making more money sitting on their butt through unemployment. Somebody's gonna pull the rug out from underneath those folks at some point in time. But I'd be interested to see how many people are like, you know what, these people are desperately hiring. I've never done it before, but I'm gonna go give it a shot and see what I can do to get hired. I would call Franklin before you do that, so you look as good as you possibly can as a candidate to them, because I bet you there's a lot of career changes going on out there right now as we recover from the pandemic.
I would think so. Absolutely. I mean, everyone's struggling. Everyone needs help. So it would be wise to have some help, like an expert who knows what they're doing as you go through it.
All right, real quick, some news here from the sport of football. NIL is now law in Georgia, but with a twist. College athletes can collect endorsements and sponsorships, but their schools can take a significant cut of the money if they want to. Now, there's a key word in there. It is can. Will they? I don't know, but they can. Brian Kemp, who's the governor of the Peach State, signed the new bill regulating NIL on Thursday morning. He held his signing ceremony at the University of Georgia in Athens with Bulldog backdrop there, I might add. But here is the kick. Georgia schools can require athletes, require athletes to contribute, Darren, up to 74.99% of their NIL earnings to a fund for all athletes to be doled out at graduation or withdrawal from school. The schools should set up such a fund with proceeds from their $1 million contracts, is what many are saying about this. But that is in the language of this law, and it is now law, guys. It's done. So if JT Daniels signs an endorsement deal for $100,000, Georgia could say, yeah, you owe us $75,000 for whatever reason. Now, it's up to all the schools. We'll see where this goes. Darren, I would think, in my estimation here, to try to stay consistent, which is something I don't believe in, but that if you required that, like, hey, every time you get a deal, 75% goes to the school to be redistributed to everybody. Yeah, that's socialism, right? So I'm not a fan of that.
It also comes down to then verbal agreements, basically, right? I mean, if I'm JT Daniels, or let's put it if I'm a recruit, right? Because Daniels won't. No. Will he be? No, he won't be able to profit off of this. Well, Daniels, it goes to July 1, so he could. Yes, right. So he could. So let's use the example of Daniels. Then it becomes a verbal contract. Then that's it, right? Between the coach or the athletic department and Daniels. Hey, dude, I promise I'm not going to touch your money. And then 2 weeks later, you know what? Things changed. And now I want 50%. I can take 70, but I'm going to take 50. That seems messy. I mean, this is going to be complicated enough. Why we don't need to be adding more layers of complication to it.
It seems to me, and again, I don't know. I have not read the bill, and I don't know the language. It just seems on the surface that the can was essentially, I don't want to say kicked down the road, but it was kicked into the driveway of each individual institution, if that makes sense. Like Georgia had to step up and create some type of law to stay in the ballpark with essentially the rest of the Southeast, their competitors, Florida, South Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, you name it. So they had to put a law in place, and they rushed to do so. They got one in place that will kick in, which will be fiscal July 1 of 2021. So they're going to be ahead of a few other states out there, including South Carolina. But they put in that, not a requirement, that stipulation to allow these schools to individually make their own decisions. And then those schools can create whatever policies they want to create. It might be different at Georgia Tech than at Georgia, or at Georgia Southern, or at Georgia State, or whatever the case may be. I would almost venture a guess here, Darren. It'll probably be fairly consistent because you're not going to want to not be able to compete with your rival like Georgia and Georgia Tech. And I would almost venture a guess as well that both of those schools, like Georgia is not going to be like, okay, we give us 75% when South Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, and everybody else that they recruit against, compete against are going, yeah, we're not doing that.
No, they can't.
Like, that'd just be stupid. You know, I mean, you're costing yourself everything. So I don't even know how much it'll get utilized, but it was interesting language in the law. I think I've seen some reaction to it. I feel like a lot of it is overreaction. If they would have said, you have to give 75% of everything, I'd be like, whoa, wait a second here. Wait, that doesn't make sense. But obviously they're leaving flexibility in there for some reason. So we'll have to see where it goes.
Yeah.
To your point, stay away from the verbal agreements. Get it in writing.
And the big point is what you said, right? You're competing against your rivals. The backbone of all of these states trying to get on board with NIL is because the other states are doing it. So if you're doing it at a less profitable rate than everybody else, what's the point of doing it?
Yeah, there's no point. I mean, if you're like JT Daniels transferred to Georgia, so let's back this truck up a couple of years before he transferred. If he's like, man, I'm really considering Georgia or Texas. Well, you know, the NIL law in Texas, you get to keep 100% of it. Georgia, you have to give 75% to the school. Yeah, I'm going to Texas.
See ya.
You know, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, you know what? You're not. So they're not going to be there. There's no way they're going to be able to implement that. Speaking of Texas A&M is where Jimbo Fisher is the head football coach, and Jimbo Fisher, Darren, has basically said we can be all that in a bag of marbles, just like Alabama. Quote, I respect everything that they've done and how they do it, but we can do it just as good or be just as good or better. And we will, end quote. Now, some see this as a shot at Nick Saban. I don't. Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher have known each other for a long time. This is, you know, fire-created media division between two guys who respect each other immensely. I love it. And let me tell you why. Jimbo Fisher is a damn good football coach. He proved it at Florida State. He's proven it again. And Texas A&M literally has nothing that says that they can't be Alabama. They have all the money in the world. They have way more money, by the way, than Alabama. That state does. They have just as good, if not better, facilities. They're in the SEC. They're in a fertile recruiting ground in the state of Texas. Everything we've seen Alabama do for all time, but certainly over the last 12 years under Saban, they absolutely can do that under Jimbo Fisher.
They can. Yeah, they can. But it's the same conversation of how do you bridge that gap of the top 4 or 5 teams and everybody else. So do they have the resources? Do they have the coach? Do they have the talent pool in Texas and the reach of the program to go beyond Texas? All of it is there. I like it because it's fun. I think he probably stoked the flames of Alabama a little bit, right? How much bulletin board material do you want to give Alabama?
That's true. That's one bear you don't poke.
No. You don't poke that bear. You don't rile up Tiger Woods in his prime. You don't rile up Tom Brady, because these guys have a special, unique way of taking the tiniest grain of nothing and turning it into the largest cinder block on the shoulder and using that to win.
Good point.
I wouldn't poke Alabama. He did. We'll see if it works out for him.
Alabama visits Texas A&M on October the 9th this year, which that'll be an interesting trip, certainly. They beat them last year soundly by almost 30, if you remember. That was week 2 of the season, shortened season, of course, 52-24. It was not a ball game from the start, and it was over quickly. But I look, I think what Jimbo Fisher is trying, I think Jimbo Fisher wants to create what LSU and Alabama have had. You're never going to recreate the Iron Bowl. The Iron Bowl is the Iron Bowl, period, the end. But right behind it has been LSU and Alabama. And I think that Jimbo Fisher wants to, I think he wants A&M to be LSU in the SEC West. Again, they have every reason to believe that they can be. There's nothing there. They have literally, unless there's like a horrible group of leadership, of leaders that is your leadership in that athletics department, which what I understand there's not. You have no reason to not be good. The other question, though, and you just brought it up, You mentioned Texas. So Sark is in Texas, and we're going to see how that goes. I like Sark. I think the guy's had a difficult road, man, and people learn from that. And he's a really, really, really good person, based on the information that I have from somebody that knows him pretty well. So I do think they're going to be really good, but there is going to be this this battle, right? And they're going to be this battle for like who owns Texas.
Texas doesn't want that battle because Texas thinks that they own Texas, and it should always be that way. But that battle is currently being waged. Because Texas fell to the point where there was a bunch of malcontent, and now they got a new coach, and A&M over that time has been better these last couple of years. So that in-state battle of Texas and Texas A&M, we could throw Texas Tech in there too, not just from a football standpoint, but they weren't thrilled that their basketball coach went to Texas. So the schools in there they're not going to the dinner table very often together. I like what you said, right? Just with the A&M becoming LSU, create this rivalry that makes sense. And then the state of Texas, who owns it? Does anybody own it?
Yeah, I mean, but to your point, Texas allowed this to happen. They don't have any reason to not be dominant every year. They might lose, a bad year for them should be 10-2, not 5-7. I mean, there's no reason for that. They allowed it all to happen, not just with A&M, but TCU, Baylor, Texas Tech, Houston. I mean, these teams, and then everybody else invading Texas and pulling players out of there. I mean, LSU, Arkansas. I know Arkansas hasn't been good, but they have taken players. Oklahoma State. I mean, how many more? Iowa State goes in there and gets players. There's players that are leaving going to Southern Cal. Mm-hmm. Must be too hot in the state of Texas for them. So they've allowed this to happen. They let that door open. But if there's anybody that can do it, it's A&M. And I'll leave it at this because I know we got to get to Scott. I think that one of the main points that backs that up is A&M is in the SEC, man. And the SEC is the brand in football, period. And they knocked on the door. They've done a lot for themselves. Obviously, they knocked on the door of the playoff last year. Some argue they should have been in there. I'm one of those people that thinks that they probably should have had a crack at it. Maybe not. But they're in the SEC. And if you can dominate this league, you're nationally relevant, period. The end. Georgia, Florida, LSU. Everybody talks about it every year with the college football playoff because they're in this league. And A&M feels like they should be right there. Mm-hmm. All right, so where's Scott? Yeah, we need to find him. We're going to hit a quick timeout, and then when we return, Scott Glaze, golf pro at Stono Ferry, he'll pop in on the JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road with exciting news. It's springtime, and we're playing ball. Most dealerships don't have any inventory, but at Stokes Volkswagen we do. So we're playing ball on every new Volkswagen in stock. Every new Volkswagen available with zero down. Qualified buyers can sign and drive with interest-free financing for 60 months. Remember, Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road is the fastest, easiest way to sell your car and get the most money for your trade. Plus, we'll take any trade in any condition, paid off or not. Is your credit in a slump? Strike two! If you've got $500 down and you make at least $2,000 per month, our lenders can get you approved. So if you want to strike out, that's okay. But if you want to hit a home run and save on a new Volkswagen, come see us today at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road or StokesVW.com.
$1,666 per month per $1,000 borrowed for 60 months at 0% APR with zero down. Plus tax tag. Includes $499.50 administration fee. Subject to BCI credit approval. Expires month end.
Peace and love at Stokes VW.
Wando Power Equipment, the trusted home of Hustler zero-turn residential and commercial mowers. There is nobody more trusted in South Carolina than our friends from Wando Power Equipment. They've been providing elite commercial and residential service for over 30 years. Landscape Services have turned to their selection of Hustler zero-turn mowers like the Raptor. Bigger, stronger, faster, and the most durable Raptor Hustler has ever designed. Located on Daniel Island and online at wandopower.com. Wando Power Equipment, owned by the Price family, the home of Hustler zero-turn mowers, rentals, service, and specializing in family and friendship.
Shrimping season's back. That means local caught shrimp. That's right, local caught shrimp back on the menu at the Dog and Duck. All 3 locations, Bell Hall, Park West, and Clements Ferry Road, now featuring once again local caught hand-breaded shrimp, plus other daily specials like the Game Day Burger every Wednesday, Rib Night on Friday, rotating taps all the time, and all the TVs you can possibly imagine for whatever you want to watch. The Dog and Duck in Bell Hall, Park West, and on Clements Ferry Road.
You are listening to the JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online.
All right. Final 20 minutes. Power Hour, powered by Wando Power Equipment, wandopower.com. If you want to be like Scott Glaze and aerate about 18 holes, head to Wando Power. That's where you can rent an aerator. Wando Power Equipment, in business for over 30 years. Going to be a really good week. Might as well, look, you better get the yard work in over the next weekend or two, because PJ Championship is going to be here in 2 weekends, and we know you're not going to get it done then. So head to Wando Power Equipment, buy that new mower or whatever it is. Maybe it's the Hustler Zero Turn. Maybe you need to rent a trailer. Maybe you just need a blower, weed whacker, whatever it is. Tell the Price family we sent you, wandopower.com. Sorry we're a little late getting to you. We've already talked enough golf today, so we figured we just didn't need to get to you. No, I'm just kidding. What's up, man? How you doing?
What's going on? Missed you guys last week. Happy to be back, and we're creeping up on that PGA Championship. I'm really, really excited.
We spoke with Ryan Ogle earlier. He's the championship director, and he kind of filled us in on what's going on out there. So do you mind sharing your experience with us last week, Scott? We want to talk. Well, look, I know that you're better than everybody. So your oh gosh, is everybody's like, that's great. I know you didn't have the weekend that you wanted, but can you walk us through what was going on? What event where were you? What was going on, and how did it play out?
So U.S. Open qualifying goes in a couple of stages. You have your local qualifying, and then you move on to final qualifying, which is there are about 8 qualifying sites for the final qualifying. Well, local, usually in the state of South Carolina, there are about 2. And there's actually one on Monday down in Hilton Head. I played last week up at Columbia Country Club. Of course, I've had a lot of success at in the past. And so it's just 18 holes for local qualifying. Go out and try to play as good as you can and hopefully make it through. And then you make it to that next stage. And then that's where it gets really difficult, where you're playing with the big boys. A lot of PGA Tour guys, guys like myself, club pros, elite amateurs. They're trying to make it into the U.S. Open, but you got to get through that first local qualifying. To me, I hit the ball great. My ball striking is great. I guess I've been paying attention to my own tips that I've been given on the show. But my putting was miserable. Maybe one of the worst putting rounds I've had. Since junior golf. I had 38 putts. And so if you do the quick math, that's an average of more than 2 putts a hole. And I've talked about it a lot. Putting is the great equalizer. That was, it definitely, my putter was not my friend. And as a result, will not be going to Torrey Pines playing the U.S. Open. But that's golf. That's the way it is. Some days you're the windshield. Some days you're the bug. And, I was the bug last week. That's fine, and live to fight another day. Really, the golf course, Columbia Country Club, was in great shape, pristine shape. The greens extremely firm and fast, and it got breezy up there last Thursday. And it's a U.S. Open qualifier, so the golf course is going to be set up as difficult as it can be. And flags were tucked in very difficult locations, near slopes, on slopes. And with the wind and the breeze, you couldn't really attack flags, especially as the round started to go south for me and I needed to make birdies to kind of get back in the hunt. Couldn't really attack flags too much. And so that left a lot of 20, 30 plus putts where you're putting defensively. where you've got really fast greens, really undulating greens, maybe putting over slopes, down slopes. And if you're not making those knee knocker putts from 5, 6, 7, 8 feet, it's going to be a long day. And that's what happened to me. Just couldn't make those putts. So great experience. Always love to compete. I did not get a chance to compete last year due to COVID and events being canceled, like U.S. Open qualifying was canceled last year. So always great to compete and to get that kind of fire burning again. And I'll turn right back around, and we have the South Carolina Open next week at TPC Myrtle Beach. So hopefully I have better news to report about that outing when we talk next week.
So you can still qualify?
No. So U.S. Open qualifying is done. South Carolina Open is just put on through the Carolinas PGA section, and is basically the smaller South Carolina version of what would be the U.S. Open. But there's no like battlefield promotion type deal. It's just an elite event in South Carolina golf that's been around for a while.
Real quick, at the Wells Fargo, playing up at Quail Hollow in Charlotte, Young Hoon Lee leads at 5 under, one shot ahead of Paul Malnati, and Brian Harmon's at 3 under. A popular name, though, at 2 under. It is Justin Thomas. By the way, congratulations to Stono Ferry, ranked the 15th best golf course in the state, correct?
Yeah. It came
wonderful.
out.
Wonderful news.
Came out. We knew about that, I guess, about a week ago, but the Golf Week publication had not come out yet, and we're thrilled. That's huge for us. They're the gold standard in golf course rankings are Golf Digest and Golf Week. A lot of places will rank golf courses, but the Golf Digest rankings, the Golf Week rankings are the ones that you want. And it did come out of the best courses that you can play in the state of South Carolina, that we were ranked number 15, which first time that we've ever cracked into that list, and that is in the whole state. There are a lot of golf courses in the state of South Carolina. And Stono Ferry cracked the list there at number 15. And the only other Charleston area golf course on the list was the Ocean Course at number 1. Yeah. So we're extremely proud of that. I'm extremely proud of what we're doing here, what we continue to do. Extremely proud of our entire staff, and yeah, we're excited. So we're kind of boasting about that a little bit.
Got a friend of my wife is coming to town in a couple of weeks. Her husband is a golf pro in Delaware, and he's actually, I don't actually know how this happened, but he's got passes all week to the PGA Championship by whatever affiliation he's got. So he's coming down and he wants to play around the golf while he's down here. Yeah. So I might bring him out to Stono one day, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Bring him out.
You two play. I'm just going to drink the whole time.
Okay.
You can drive. You can be the caddy.
Yeah. No, I don't want to be the caddy. I just want to drink and drive the golf cart, and then somebody drive me home afterwards. That's all I care about.
Play some music. I mean, it'd be a good time.
Yeah, that's right. I'm the guy that once you get through the first hole, you get to the second hole, you're like, can they hear us anymore? All right, crank the music up. Nobody's going to care. Well, so let's go back, though. Let's go back. I think this is a neat conversation to have. Every week we talk about all these pros, but hearing this from you, a guy who's better than all of us, you're a pro. And so maybe if you could walk us through some of these moments mentally for you, it might help somebody out there and bring some of these conversations to life a little more. Scott, you said, 38 putts last week and 18 holes. So it's shade over 2. What is that grind like for a player of your caliber when you, where do you pick up on that in the round of, I just don't have it today, or it's going to be difficult because, I got 20 and 30 footers to sink all afternoon and I'm not going to be able to do this. Like, walk us through that mental process.
Yeah. So, I picked up on it early. I actually started out on the 10th hole.
When I woke up.
Yeah.
Man, I'm going to suck today.
Actually, it's strange how it happens. I thought it was going to be a really good day. I got there, normal preparation before the round, hit some putts to start. everything felt good. Went to the driving range, and what I like is, like I said, I had not played in a competitive event in over a year, and where I'm usually playing in probably 8 a year. Tournament golf is any type of competitive golf is a lot different than just going out on the weekends with your buddies and playing.
Sure.
Every stroke matters. You got to hit cups. You got to putt everything out, even if it's the 1-footer. There's no rolling the ball in the fairway. I mean, it's for lack of a better term, it's real golf. Have a little bit of nerves, a little bit of jitters, but that's a good thing. I always say if you're not nervous, you're not ready, and you don't care. So, I guarantee you guys teeing it up on the PGA Tour today up at Quail Hollow, you got a little bit of those first tee nerves. Doesn't matter if you do it every single week. Doesn't matter if you're number one in the world. It happens, but that's good. It means you're ready. It means that you care. Everything felt great on the driving range, just kind of like riding a bike. And go to the first tee, piped one right down the middle of the fairway on the first tee, and then had a shot into the wind. Ball kind of fluttered, had a 9-iron in my hand, so I was being a little aggressive. And the ball kind of fluttered in the wind, came down in the bunker, short-sided, which is a term in golf where you miss where there's not a lot of green to work with. So the pin is cut on the right, you miss on the right, so to speak. So short-sided in the bunker, just dead in jail. Don't get that up and down. So start the day off with a bogey, and that was a rough start. On the second hole, I had about 20 feet for birdie, and the putt ran out about a good 5 feet more than I expected, due to the big break there and a lot of other things. Now I did make the 5-footer, 5-6-footer there for par to save that, but that. With the wind that played with the shot on number one, and then number two, having to have that par save, it was like, okay, we're going to have to grind today in order to have a good score. Par was going to be a good score. And really, I just shot myself in the foot on early in the round on my fourth hole. Bad course management, decided to hit driver off the tee on a short hole, just trying to get too aggressive, trying to channel my inner Bryson there and drive it up close to the green. And probably should have laid back with a 2-iron or so, drove it into trouble, and the trouble just kind of compounded and made a double bogey. So that put me 3 over through 4 holes. And then the rest of the day I was just trying to play catch up and wasn't able to really catch up. But you usually figure out early in the round what you got, and whether it's good or bad. And if it's bad, like it was for me, you're just trying to, like I said, play catch up. At a certain point in the round, I knew I wasn't going to be making through the qualifying, and then you're playing for pride. And then even sometimes playing for pride, you still can't make any birdies. But it's, that's the game of golf. That's why I love the game of golf, because every single round is different. Every single round is a battle. It's you versus the course. It's you versus you, and those are some of the most fun battles, I think, is when you're battling yourself mentally and you're battling this big brawny golf course that even though it swings back, even though it doesn't physically swing back, it will swing back at you for sure.
I mean, it's interesting. Scott Glaze, of course, our golf pro, the Low Country's golf pro. Scott Glaze out at Stone and Ferry in the original Hollywood, South Carolina. Forget that Hollywood, California crap. They pay way too much in taxes out there. It's interesting to hear you say all of that, because when you see these guys on TV, I mean, these guys that we look at and think that they're indestructible, they're, oh my gosh, it's JT. I mean, he's gonna bomb. You don't realize how good they are till you see them, and then when they have a bad day, it's hard to comprehend how they're having a bad day, especially folks that don't understand the sport. You sit there, Thomas, he sucks. Yeah, well, you try it. This can happen to anybody, and it's all about how you manage it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look at today. I was going through the leaderboard. We've got John Rahm shot 76 today. He's tied for 119th place, and he's one of the favorites. It's funny to you're right. I can say, 76, or where the overwhelming golfing public would love to shoot 76. But for a guy who's top 5 in the world, it's not a good round of golf. But it's golf is a very fickle game. You can be just a little bit off. If you think about it, you're swinging at these incredibly high speeds, hitting a little white ball around this big yard. I mean, if we're off by, to say golf is a game of inches might be an understatement. It's probably less than that. Just a little bit of the rotation of the face here, a little bit there, miscalculation of the wind, wrong club selection, wrong game plan. You could just have a combination of all that, and then it's not your day. But for John Rahm, for whoever else struggles today, for me, for you guys, like that's the great thing about it, is that there's always tomorrow. You can go out and I always, that was the thing about US Open qualifying, when it's just the 18 holes, that you can't really redeem yourself. One of the things that I have loved in competitive golf, of having a bad round and being able to come back in the next round and kind of redeem that poor play, and play well, regardless of what you may finish, or even if you maybe still miss the cut, as Rahm might tomorrow is our example. But being able to come back out the next day, redeem that play. He shot 76 today. Maybe he can turn around and go shoot 66 tomorrow, and just kind of prove it to himself and to the field. Hey, it was a bad day, but I'm still here. So it's and I said it before and say it a million times. It's just part of what makes golf great. It's just you out there. You're in solitude. You got nobody to bail you out. So that's why poor rounds and bad days, you feel so exposed, because there's nobody. I couldn't sub in. I couldn't go to the bullpen and bring somebody that could make a 6-footer for me last week, as much as I wish I could. So it's one of the things that just makes it such a frustrating game, but at the same time, just, in my opinion, the best game there is.
Well, you should expose yourselves to Stono Ferry if you haven't. StonoFerryGolf.com. That's where you can book your tee times. Go ahead and book them. The weekends get full quick. So you might want to get on it. Hop on that horse and ride out to Hollywood, South Carolina, and play at the 15th ranked golf course in the state, the 2nd ranked course in the Low Country. That is awesome. The only other one, Ocean Course, and that's where the PJ Championship is going to play in a couple of weeks. So StonoFerryGolf.com, you can see the entire course. You can book your tee times there, inquire about memberships, and much, much more in the original Hollywood, South Carolina. And whatever you do, I don't care what you do when you go out there. You play like crap, you play like a pro, whatever. Don't go out to dang Stono Ferry. Don't eat one of those hot dogs now. Don't be stupid. Right. Go out there and get a hot dog, fill up on the turn. You get bourbon too. I get that. But make sure you get one of those hot dogs and have some fun, and say hello to our very perfect haired friend, Scott Glaze. Starting next week, we'll start to get in more to the
maybe that's what I need to do. Like, everybody wears a hat on tour. Maybe that's
did you not wear a hat?
No, but that's what I'm saying is that maybe I should just go hatless. I should just let the salad just
I say you shave it,
blow in the breeze, and maybe that's my look. I can just
so no hat and just shades. You look like a tennis player.
Yeah, you don't see that often. You don't see hatless guys. That's just more places to put ads, but maybe that can change my look.
I can lend you a visor or two if you want one of those. Yeah, let me know. We'll start next week. We'll start to get into the PGA Championship stuff. Obviously, we're just a couple of weeks away, so we're going to hold off on some of that conversation, Scott, and we'll let you run on that note. But hat or no hat, it was good to see you again this week. I'm sure it's going to be busy out there at Stono Ferry this weekend. And again, book your tee times at StonoFerry.com. Thanks, my friend.
Awesome. Yeah, enjoy it, guys. Y'all have a great weekend.
You too, man.
On Twitter at Scott Glaze. Darren, we didn't have a video, did we?
We did not. No.
Okay. Wanted to make sure. It is National Nurses Day.
Oh, that's a good day.
It is. My wife is a nurse practitioner, so I'll lump her into that one. But boy, nurses should always be thanked and appreciated in this past year as well. and moving forward. So thank you, nurses. We love you. All the female and male nurses. Thanks to Skylar Meade, Cory McCartney, PGA Championship Director Ryan Ogle, and hatless Scott Glaze. And thanks to Darren Goldwater and all of you, as always, for watching and listening. We got something fun coming up for y'all soon. We're trying to put it together, so stay tuned for that. You're going to like this if you're a fan of football. A lot. And we'll have fun tomorrow at noon. We always do on Fridays. And we'll see you then right here on the JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen.